We are joined now on the line by Fox News national security analyst KT McFarland, good friend of this program. KT, so much that I want to talk to you, but let me start by playing this little clip of the president with comedian actor Zach Galifianakis. Just listen to this.
You said if you had a son, you would not let him play football. What makes you think that he would want to play football? What if he was a nerd like you?
Do you think a woman like Michelle would marry a nerd? Why don't you ask her whether she thinks I'm a nerd?
Could I?
No, I'm not going to let her near you.
So this is a thing that is really designed to sell Obamacare, but he's doing it with a comedian on a set called Between Two Ferns. And I wonder, you're probably wondering, what had national security implications have to do with this? I'm wondering if you're Vladimir Putin and you're seeing this kind of stuff out of our president, something that many people believe demeans the presidency or diminishes the presidency, what message do you walk away from?
Well, if you're Vladimir Putin, you're thinking, every time I see Obama, I'm picking lid off my suit and looking up out of the window because I'm so bored. I'm rolling my eyes. And I think there's another example of President Obama. To me, it just smacked of complete desperation on the president's part. I mean, is he trying to try out as a talk show host for a post-presidency gig? I mean, it just was really not only demeaning, but it just sent all the wrong signals.
Well, I mean, when we talk about what signals does it send? I mean, how do you deal with a guy like Vladimir Putin? I mean, it seems like you have to talk in very strong language, forceful words that have, not hoping, not wishing. You have to be very strong in the way you talk to this guy.
And not scolding and not preaching in public. I mean, I would have picked up the phone and said, just the two of us, Vlad, here's the deal. We have you want to be in charge for about the next 10 or 15 years. You're a strong, healthy guy. Here's what it's going to be. You're either going to have a terrific 10 years or we're going to crush you economically, and you can choose. Here's how we're going to crush you economically. We are going to build a Keystone Pipeline. We are going to frack, baby, frack. So, frack you, Vlad. And we are going to drive the price of oil and natural gas down. If oil goes below $90 a barrel, you don't meet payroll. You're going to have a lot of unhappy Russians if that's the case. We're going to also restore our relations with Europeans. We're going to fast-track LNG, liquefied natural gas terminals, to export American natural gas there. We're going to help the neighbors to you, Poland and Ukraine particularly, to frack their natural gas deposits. We're also going to deny you the Western technology and investment you need and only we can provide to develop your Eastern Siberian fields because your Western Siberian fields are tapping out. So that's the bad news. Now, the good news is if you want to cooperate with us, help us stop Iran's nuclear program, help us in the Middle East not incite terrorism. If you want to work with us in fighting global terrorism, we're prepared to help you in a lot of those ways. Technology, because without Western technology and Western investment, you don't go anywhere.
Well, instead, what he's doing is yucking it up with Zach.
Well, and also, anytime he or Secretary Kerry talk about Putin, they keep lecturing him in this sort of preachy way.
Which doesn't work.
What they have to understand is Russia's best interests aren't served by, or Russia, you're so 19th century.
We know what's best for you, Russia. Yeah. Hang on, KT. I've got a question, but I got to finish this headline from my article later. Former Kissinger advisor to Putin, frack you, Vlad. Okay, got it. That will go viral. Let's switch over to the CIA. Did you see Senator Dianne Feinstein, a very serious player, obviously in the intelligence world here, well respected, I think, on both sides of the equation. Were you stunned to see the allegations that she laid out against the executive branch and most specifically the CIA yesterday?
No, and I think she's probably got some pretty good evidence that this has happened, and she's someone who in the past has been not a shrinking violet about expressing what she thought was America's national interest, whether she's been critical of Republican presidents or Democrat presidents.
Certainly on foreign issues like this, yes. So what do you make of this? And isn't there a problem in the executive branch? I mean, someone's got to be minding the store. Who's watching the CIA at this point? We know who the CIA is watching, it appears.
Well, it doesn't appear anybody's watching. It's not just the CIA. This is a pattern. This is the IRS going after conservative groups. This is the the government trying to put in the newsroom.
Yeah, DOJ going after AP.
In the newsroom to find out, to essentially as a critic and potentially, censor to American news stories. This is This is the CIA. This is everybody in government is sort of, in this government anyway, in this administration, seems to be bent on taking away the rights of free speech and free thought.
So I just want to be clear. You've got on one hand Dianne Feinstein, chairwoman of the Intelligence Committee in the Senate, saying this is a serious problem, maybe a violation of the Constitution, the CIA's behavior. On the other side, you've got CIA Director Brennan saying much of this report is fiction and we just didn't do this. If KT McFarland has to pick between those two sides, you're leaning toward Feinstein.
Why would she pick the fight?
Yeah, I keep coming back to that. She's not one to just throw things out willy-nilly.
She's not a flamethrower. She's not
point.
running for president. She's not looking for headlines. Why would she talk about it if it wasn't true?
Can I ask you a quick question, KT? This Malaysian airliner, and everybody's speculating about this, but it seems like so many people are so quick to rule out terrorism, and they point to the fact that no one has claimed responsibility for it. But is it wrong to even suspect that maybe on a Malaysian airliner that with Iranians on board using false passports that maybe there was a terrorist attack here?
I wouldn't rule anything out yet, but what I would like to find out is why, with all the satellite intelligence we have, not just American, but Chinese and in every other, why is there no satellite information about what happened? Why is there no heat signature? Why is there no, satellites are pick up what you're aiming them for. And maybe we weren't aiming for that part of the Pacific, but I've got to assume that the Straits of Malacca, which are one of the second most important waterway for the export of natural resources to industrial countries, is somebody's looking at that.
You mentioned heat signature. I haven't thought about that, but I mean they have satellites that detect heat events, right? Explosions. I mean, sometimes like a chemical plant will blow up, and it will actually register on the satellite. Sometimes you'll have a wildfire; it'll show up on the satellite, and we haven't heard anything about that.
No, and that's what I'm sort of scratching my head.
That's interesting.
Is there some sort of central place where some international body says, okay, let's everybody pool what we've got from our satellites, the Chinese, the Russians, the Americans, everybody else who's got intelligence satellites, spy satellites. Is there anything there that we can see? Now, maybe countries don't want to cooperate because they don't want to, share the information or the technology that they have. But that's my big question: is haven't satellites picked this stuff up?
All right, KT McFarland, Fox News national security analyst. Always good to have you. Looking forward to seeing you on Between Two Ferns, by the way, on Funny or Die. You would be great on that, too. That's not going to happen,
I'm not looking for a talk show gig like the president. I'm really happy at Fox News.
Thanks, KT.